The future of organic food is at risk. This is a serious story we've now got coming up. In fact, the USDA is about to make a new decision. It's going to have a meeting next week. This is an urgent situation. They're going to be evaluating, with the help of a bunch of scientists who probably have financial ties to the big agri-giants and food giants. They're going to be making a decision on whether they can allow new ingredients to be considered organic, even though they're synthetic chemicals. And Mark Kastel from the Cornucopia Institute says, quote, "We think this meeting may well decide the fate of organic food and agriculture in this country." In fact, there's so much going on now with the aggregation of food companies. More and more smaller companies are being bought up by the big food giants and the big seed giants. So you've got these companies like Hershey's and Cargill and Dean Foods and Heinz, PepsiCo, that are owning all the brands that you thought were little mom and pop brands. And with more on that, we're talking with Mark Kastel, the director of the Cornucopia Institute, who joins us by phone. Mark, what do you make of all this? What does it mean for the future of organics?
Well, I think this is the line in the sand that we all have to draw, Mike. Who owns the organic label? We do. The farmers in this country that have worked hard to establish an alternative model of agriculture, and the consumers who passionately support them, who are a part of what we call the good food movement, who want an alternative. So this is the time right now that we have to make it clear to the corporate agribusinesses that have invested and their lobbyists that organics mean something. It's not just a phony baloney marketing gimmick, and we have to make sure that it's clear to the USDA. They work for us. Congress gave them the responsibility to protect ethical farmers and their marketing partners.
But Mark, let me be clear. I want to make sure that the listeners and viewers understand this. If the USDA allows these additives and allows these chemicals into organics, could this be a slippery slope where then they begin to say, well, GMOs are organic and all these other chemicals are organic? Is that where this is heading if the decision comes down on the wrong side here?
That's exactly where we're heading. In fact, not only are some of the additives that they're considering adding synthetics, but they were developed by Monsanto through genetic manipulation. These are these DHA, ARA oils that they're putting into even organic baby food. It's in every conventional infant formula. It's in most organic infant formula, and it's in many organic baby foods. These are made from cultured algae and soil fungus.
Would you describe it then? I'm sorry to interrupt, but it sounds like it's an invasion of organics by Monsanto and the USDA, which of course tends to side with corporate agribusiness. I mean, is this really an invasion or an overtaking, a hijacking of organics? That's what it sounds like.
Well, you could say that. Monsanto itself isn't directly involved anymore. They developed these genetically manipulated organisms that do not exist in nature. Who would have thought that we would be labeling our children's food, quote, organic, with compounds that don't exist in the natural world? So they were developed by Monsanto, but they were purchased by a giant conglomerate in Europe that markets under the name Martech Biosciences. And so this is just one more biotechnology genetic engineering company that is now a member of the Organic Trade Association, the lobby group, and they are selling product. Yeah, it's Orwellian.
Yeah, really.
They are selling product.
And this
they're
is
selling product. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry, Mark. It's a lot of people don't know that this is the same ingredient that's found in infant formula. And I don't mean to interrupt you. It's hard to do this by phone sometimes. But isn't this the same thing that's in infant formula that your organization, Cornucopia, already publicized the fact that this is extracted with hexane, which is an explosive chemical solvent? I mean, you blew the lid on that story, too.
Yeah. If you go and buy any conventional infant formula, and now today if you buy most organic formula, there's one organic formula that we know of in the country that doesn't have it in there. It's called Babies Only, and you can buy that at most of the natural food cooperatives, and you can buy it at Whole Foods. But other than that, and let me just interject, we know that breastfeeding has just tremendous advantages for the long-term health outcomes of infants and mothers, because it prevents breast cancer. One of the prime risk factors is not breastfeeding. But for mothers that either physically can't, because of a medical condition, breastfeed, or maybe doesn't have the support necessary that they can breastfeed, they need to be able to trust the infant formula and trust organics in particular. So genetic engineering, synthetic ingredients, hexane extracted. Hexane is a solvent byproduct, Mike, which I know you're very familiar with. It's a byproduct of gasoline refinement. It's a neurotoxic chemical. Can you believe that we're using a neurotoxic chemical to process food for any people, let alone our infants?
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's also an explosive. I mean, if you take hexane into a food processing facility, they want to call it organic. If you take hexane to the airport, they call you a terrorist who's trying to get a liquid bomb on the airplane, right? I mean, it's an explosive chemical.
In fact, there was a major explosion that happened in a sewage treatment plant that was tied to a Martech Biosciences manufacturing facility. So they were dumping this hexane in the wastewater. It exploded. This kills people.
Yeah, it's incredible. Let's talk about who owns organic, because this gets to the invasion of organics and the alteration of the definition of organics by these corporate agribusiness giants who are taking over agriculture and taking over the food supply. What is the most important thing, Mark, that viewers need to understand about the aggregation of corporate agribusiness giants right now? I mean, who is really in charge of the food supply today?
Well, as I said, I think we are, but we've got to impress someone else with that, obviously. I think one of the tools, we're out to empower consumers. So if consumers out there, your listeners, eat organic food, they should go to our website at cornucopia.org, and that's CORNUCOPIA. And they can do two things there. One, there's some scorecards that rate all the organic dairy brands, which comes from factory farms, which comes from real organic farms. Luckily, the majority from real organic farms.
Yeah.
And soy products, which ones come from imported soybeans from China, which ones come from family farmers in Iowa. And Mike, we don't even trust the Chinese for our dog and cat food anymore, let alone organic ingredients. And we rate eggs. Yeah, we rate eggs and we rate other products. So that's one thing. Arm yourself with knowledge so you know where your food is coming from. The other thing is, right now, your listeners and viewers can go to our website and click on download a proxy. And you can download a letter, you can sign it, you can stick it in the mail, and if you get it off right away, I mean, do it tomorrow, we will hand carry it next week to these USDA organic meetings and impress upon them that people really care about this, and if they screw with us, there's going to be hell to pay, including in the marketplace. We want to make sure your viewers and listeners reward the true heroes and in a boycott, and don't send your money to these charlatans. Look at that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This proxy is a key action item. Folks, you can find it at the cornucopia.org website. And Mark, is there anything else you'd like to add here before we wrap this up? Any other action items or alerts that people need to be aware of?
Well, I think this proxy is important, but the very most important thing is to look at those scorecards, understand where your money's going, because the one thing these giant corporatos understand is your money. That's what they're looking for. And they don't really care about protecting the environment. They don't really care about treating family farmers fairly or respecting the livestock, treating the animals well. They really care about profit. And if you can impress them that we will patronize them if they conform to the values that we expect in the organic industry, and we will take their profit away if they don't. That's what they really understand, Mike. And we hope your viewers and listeners will vote with their pocketbooks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Mark. I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today and for putting out this alert and taking care of that proxy action item. That was Mark Kastel from the Cornucopia Institute. Thank you again, Mark, for your time. And for you out there watching, get onto their website, sign that proxy right now so that they can hand deliver it to the USDA and hopefully help change the outcome of this meeting that's coming up next week. This is a red alert urgent item to protect the definition of organics. So get on board, jump on this right now, take action, and help protect the definition of organics against the invasion of genetically modified chemicals and additives that corporate agribusiness giants are trying to shove literally down our throats. It is a big deal. Take action on this right now. All right, well, that's a wrap.